Hello, my beautiful people. It is your girl, Shonna Etienne with the Virtual Book Club. I am so excited to be on tonight because shots are going to be fired. I promise you that. Shots will be fired tonight. So, if you do not have on your Teflon vest, I suggest you walk away from the video. Go put your vest on so you could be able to take these shots like a man. All right. So it's not meant to offend. I'm just going to be delivering what is being said from the book. But he was taking some shots in this chapter. So I suggest for all the fellas listening and for all the mamas who have gangbangers as sons, I suggest y'all go get your Teflon vest so you could take these shots. Because shots are going to be fired tonight. I can promise you that. So good evening to everyone. Hey, Sonia. Hola, chica. ¿Cómo está? Hey, Charles. How are you? I'm so glad you guys are tuning in today. Be so kind to take the opportunity to share the video so we can get started. Salaam alaikum, Abdul. How are you? I'm so glad my brothers are all joining. I'm so glad to see my brothers and my sisters on. See, my sisters, despite what people believe that we don't support each other, my sisters support each other. I'm telling you, the ones that I am tied to, either personally or through energy, support each other. But I love to see the men show up and show us sisters some support. Tonight, everything is in love. Everything is in love. Shots will be fired, but it will be in love. I promise you that tonight. Peace, Janelle. How you doing? How are you? Let me go ahead and share this so I can get started. I'm clutching my pearls because I am like, this chapter is crazy. And I got the next book for you guys. I'm going to announce that in a second. Shots. Okay, here we go. Let me share this video. Let's talk about the next book first. So, I know I told you guys I'm going to give you something that we can start to use to transform our lives. Whether it's in business, whether it's in our personal lives, it's going to work. So you have to hear me out for a minute. Trust me when I say I'm going to transform this book in such a way that you are going to be able to apply it to your lives. The next book will be Breaking the Curse of Willie Lynch. All of you guys should already know about Willie Lynch, and if you do not, you will find out. But we are going to examine this because just as people study us in order to profit and to come up in life, we have to do the same thing. We have to understand the tactics that are used against us for their own profit. Many of us struggle in business because we do not understand the tactics of controlling one's mind. Many of us struggle in our relationships because our minds are under control by someone else. So we have to read this book to better understand. So we're going to give this brother, Alvin Morrow, a shot, and I'm going to break it down in such a way that you will be able to apply it to your life. So this is the next book. Friday, tomorrow is the last book on countering the conspiracy to destroy black boys, and then we're going on to the Willie Lynch book. It is going to be a great book. Thank you so much, Abdul, for sharing the video. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's get started tonight. Let's get started. Make sure you guys say hi to everybody. Let everyone know where you're coming in at. I know Charles is from California, and I think Sonia, you said Alabama. I'm not too sure, but I think you're from the Bama, right? From Alabama. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get shot. I mean, not get shot. I don't want y'all to get shot. Let's get started. Shots are about to be fired. So, communities. Communities are now controlled by boys, and young people do not respect their elders. This is the first generation of African Americans that does not respect their elders. It is the first generation of elders who are afraid of their children. There are parents who are afraid of their children. Parents say they do not know what to do with them. There are housing developments where there are few, if any, men. There used to be parks where boys got into arguments and fights ensued. There were men in the park who would break it up. Today, there are parks where there are 300 children and there may not be one male parent or one male present. Immature boys now distribute justice and determine right from wrong and decide who may have to pay with their lives. Basically, what he's saying is, oh, Sonia's from Chicago. My bad, Sonia. That's Chi-Town. I bet you won't forget since then. Basically, what he's saying is, as of right now, in our society, in the African-American community, the men, the boys are out of control. People are losing their lives left and right. He refers back to a Bible scripture, which is Isaiah 3:4, where it reads, and I'm reading from the Good News edition, and you can read it on your own, where it reads, the Lord will let people be governed by immature boys. Everyone will take advantage of everyone else. Young people will not respect their elders, and worthless people will not respect their superiors. Ain't that something? 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, and today we are seeing this alive and well in the Black community. I love the way Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu compares it to a city in Baltimore where across the street starts Little Italy. Almost every community I go into has a Little Italy. Almost every, not all, but a lot of them do. You can replace the Little Italy with Little Korea, Little Chinatown. It don't matter. Replace it with whatever you want to replace with. Germantown, it doesn't matter. The same results are going to be there. In the African American community, we are killing each other left and right. We don't have respect for our elders. We don't have respect for our women. We don't have respect for children, and children don't have respect for adults. It is an island of disrespect in the Black community. But when you go over to Little Italy, when you go over to Little Chinatown, when you go over to Little Asia, Little Korea, Little Germany, it is not the same type of environment. For some reason, in those communities, the men have honor and respect, and the men give honor and respect. Their elders are protected, their women are protected, and their children are raised in such a way that they know you better not disrespect this woman, you better not disrespect your elders, and you better not disrespect me, your father. They are raised not to disgrace their community. They are raised to have a certain standard. They are expected to be successful. But in the Black community, something is seriously off. Something does not make sense. Our Black men do not respect the Black woman. Our Black men do not respect the elders. Our Black men do not respect each other. There is something off about the Black community. And I think we can all agree with this. I think we all know that there's something wrong. So why? Why are we wrong? What is different between Little Italy and the African American community? What is different between Chinatown and the African American community? Little Germany and the African American community. What is the difference? And I know many people will say it's unfair to compare immigrants who came to the United States of America freely on their own for opportunity, for prosperity. I know it's unfair to compare them to the African American community, but we must take a look at the difference, because there's something going on that too many people have denied for hundreds of years. And we cannot keep denying this as a community. There is something seriously wrong when you take people from their land by force, by brutal force. And you take away their culture, you take away their tradition, you take away their language, you take away their sense of belonging, you take away their community, you take away their unity, you take that all away. That has got to contribute to the madness we are seeing in the African American community. People who lack consciousness will debunk what I'm saying. People who lack consciousness will not understand what I'm saying. People who lack consciousness do not want to believe what I am saying, because that means they themselves as well are suffering from the same condition. So let's talk about what it is. Let's talk about what it is. A people without their culture are a people without a past, present, and future. A people without their culture are a people without a past, present, and future. Culture determines every single thing. The Asian community has their culture. The Italian community has their culture. The Irish community has their culture. The German community has their culture. The Polish community has their culture. The Mexican community has their culture. A people without their culture do not have a past, a present, or a future. Hear me out, guys. Hear me out. A people without their culture do not know how to live. A people without their culture no longer a people, and they will act like animals. A people without their culture will be afraid of each other and won't trust each other. They will not pool their resources to start their own businesses or to support those that exist. A people without their culture will be afraid to walk down the street at 3 o'clock in the morning and meet someone that looks like them, because that person looks like them may not share their same value system, their culture. People without a culture, people without values are dangerous. Now let's talk about that for a moment, because so many people that have this whole black love thing going on, and trust me, black love is beautiful. But let me say this. Let's not pretend if we're walking down the street at 3 o'clock a.m. and we see a brother, a black brother, with his jeans on, his hoodie, his jacket. Let's not pretend. See, people like to pretend, and that's the problem with the black community. The black community don't like to face the truth. We like a whole bunch of fluff, and we like a whole bunch of lies, so that we don't have to think about ourselves and how we're showing up to each other. But let me tell you this. If a black man is walking down the street at 3 o'clock in the morning, even the most conscious black sister is afraid. Let's not pretend. Even the most conscious black brother does not know what is the possibility of a crime happening if he passes this brother on the street. Let's not pretend that this doesn't go through people's minds. Let's not pretend. So you got to ask yourself, why? Why? Why do we become afraid of our own people? Why is it after a certain hour and we're on the street, it's only me and you, we might be a little afraid? Oh my God, if it's me and 2 of you, even more afraid. Me and 3 of you, I'm crossing the street. I'm locking my doors. I'm looking for a bottle or a brick because I don't know what's going to happen. And that is not normal. We should not have that mindset, but the truth is we do, because the reality is we are killing each other, and many of us are killing others that look like us for no apparent reason at all. You can't even say good afternoon to somebody without them wanting to fight you. There is something seriously wrong. What is it? What is it? Why is it that we can't come home from work at 3 o'clock in the morning without someone just assuming we was up to no good? Why is it we can't come home from work at 3 o'clock in the morning safely without being raped or getting a bullet in our head? Why is it? There is something going on in our community that's not right. It is mentally sick. We are sick people. But everybody likes to walk around with false belief systems that they are healthy, that they are good, loving citizens, good, loving Christians and Muslims. We like to walk around pretending too much. Too much. It is time to stop pretending. It is time to speak truthfully. Because if we continue to pretend and we continue to tell lies to ourselves and to each other, the crime in our communities will continue. It will continue. We are parents, we are cousins, we are sisters, we are brothers, we are friends, we are neighbors of criminals. And that is the truth. But everybody want to hide who they know that is a criminal. Everybody want to hide the fact that their child is a criminal, that their brother is a criminal, that their father is a criminal. We are sick people. And until we start to admit what the truth is, we will not heal as a community. Because the first step is always acceptance. Forget about the fact that I wrote that in my book. The truth is what it is. The first step is acceptance. And we need to accept the fact that we are a sick people. And because we lack a culture, because we lack values, we are dangerous. We are dangerous to ourselves and others. And that is the truth. So let's examine it a little bit deeper. I often wonder why, according to Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu, not me, but him, I often wonder why brothers love hanging out on the corners. I don't care where you go. There is something about the corners and our black men and why. And nowadays in 2018 or 2017, and nowadays what I start to see is women like to be on the street as well. What is going on in our community? What is this whole thing that we like to congregate on the street corners after hours? I read through newspaper articles. I read through all of these articles and I see somebody walk up. I hear about somebody walking up to a car and blasting the people in the car in the head. And it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And oftentimes it is a male and a female in a car. What is going on with that picture? See, our black men don't respect our women anymore. Because back in the days, she wasn't allowed to be on the street at that time. Because her father would have a problem with it. And if she didn't have a father present, her brothers would have a problem with it. Or her cousins would have the problem with it. Or her big fake brother on the street that just took care of everybody on the block would not let her come home at their hours. But nowadays, it's not uncommon for us to get shot in the street, ladies, at 2 o'clock in the morning. There is something going on in our community that is not right. That is not right. I see 9-year-olds outside past 10 o'clock p.m. What the heck is going on that a child is outside at 10 o'clock in the morning? That has to ask you a question. What is going on with that parent? What is the problem with that child's mother or that child's father? Something is going on with our community. What is it with the street corners and our young men and our young women? This book was written in 1986 and the same crap is happening in 2018. There is something going on in our community. We are sick. Every last one of us. In my research, I have found that 95% of boys in jail were on the corners between the hours of 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. That is why I encourage parents, if you can't control any other time, to control this time span. See, we have to set reasonable curfews for our children. You must know where your children are. I mean, you should have control over your children throughout their lifespan. But if you can't control no other part, you need to monitor their adolescent years and you need to monitor where they're at. In their house, they should be at 10 o'clock p.m. When we think about when people are getting shot down, majority of them, not all because we're sick. We kill people at 3 o'clock in the afternoon too, but majority of us are killed during those hours. What is going on? What is going on? I'm also grappling with the question, why do black men kill black men? See, this is not to say that white on white crime doesn't exist. This is not to say that Asian on Asian crime does not exist. This is not to say that no other crime exists, because we know when it comes to crime, most people are going to kill the people that they're closely associated with. That's what the truth is. But there's something strange. There's something eerie about black men killing black men. There's something eerie about that. And we cannot ignore this. We cannot continue to ignore the fact that we are killing each other at a faster rate than any other culture is killing theirs. And that is the truth. We are brutal at it. We will kill your children. We will kill your mother. We'll kill your grandparents. We'll kill anybody and don't care. We are using our guns recklessly. Shooting in the broad daylight, across the street, hitting innocent bystanders. Bullets going through houses, going through windows, killing babies. There's got to be a lack of consciousness that's going on in our communities for this kind of stuff to happen on an ongoing nature. See, this kind of stuff, it can happen, and it does happen in Little Italy. But when that happens, what do you think happens in those communities? What do you think happens? There is something going on that we are allowed to run rampant in our communities, and it's uncontrolled. Why? We have to ask ourselves these questions. Why? Why is black on black crime such a major issue? Why are black men killing black men? We have to ask ourselves those hard questions. Could the reason why black men kill black men be because that is what they've been taught to do? That is what they've been taught to do. Why do black men kill black men? Because their anger and frustration is displaced. You see, with all the stuff that goes on in good old America, the black man is still the least regarded. No matter what he does, I don't care how successful one may become, to the white man, you are still at the bottom of the totem pole. You will still not get the respect that you deserve. And that can cause somebody to become very angry. Now, absent of success, you're going to have poverty. The father of crime is unemployment. That is the father of crime. And if the black man has the highest unemployment rate, what do you think is going to happen to his psyche? It's kind of frustrated that no matter what you do, you just cannot make it in this world. When you turn around, there's crackheads in your block in the morning. When you turn around, your own mama is a crackhead. Your father is an alcoholic. You are in foster care. You move from foster home to foster home and ain't nobody want you. You are faced with the Bloods and the Crips and every other gang that exists. The cops profile you and put you on the ground and put you in cuffs. Everybody hates you. The teachers hate you. The principal hates you. You are in special education. All this stuff is going on with the black man. What do you think it is doing to his psyche? What do you think he's doing? He is angry. He is absolutely angry. And his anger is displaced. See, he is mad at the white man. That is the very truth. He is mad at the white man, but he has been taught that you can't do nothing to them. Because if you even look at a white person the wrong way, you'll get life in prison. But if you kill your brother or your sister or your mother or your father or your grandparents or a baby or an innocent bystander, you will get 3 years. Because that right there tells you that the black life is not valued. And that is the truth. That is the truth. The black life is not valued. Why do black men kill black men? Because they are afraid and not allowed to kill white people. Why do black men kill black men? Because that's what they are allowed to do. That's what they are taught to do. And there are few consequences. They are encouraged and given more guns and lighter sentences. Why don't black men protect black women, elders, and children? Because they have not been taught to do that. See, remember, we have lost our culture. We have lost our value, our tradition, our language, our sense of self. We have been given a false identity, and it's confusing for us. It is confusing for us. We don't know who to be. We don't know how to speak. We don't know where to live. We don't know a lot of things. Where we want to live, we're not accepted. Where we don't want to live, we have to go because our income subjects us to that. We're subjected to those communities. So we haven't been taught to love our people. We haven't been taught to love ourselves. We have not been taught to protect our women, our children, our neighbors. We have not been taught that. Since the days of slavery, you got to understand the power of slave psychology. You have to understand what is really going on in America when it comes to the black life. We still have to hold marches, Black Lives Matter. Why? If we were valued and we were loved, why are we still marching? So that people can recognize us as human. Why? Why? There's a programming that's going on. There's a programming and a conditioning that is going on in the Black community. And we keep falling into the trap. You got to ask yourself why. It is very difficult, if not impossible, to love and protect someone until you first love yourself. How can we love ourselves? How can we love ourselves when every image that they have on there that says it's beautiful don't look like us? How can we love ourselves when every successful image out there who is successful and living the American dream don't look like us? How can we love ourselves? How can we love ourselves when we don't see enough of us doing great things? The credit is taken from us and given to somebody else, or we're not even allowed to be in a position to even get our credit whatsoever. How can we love ourselves? How can we love ourselves when the school system hides our true history and keeps it hidden and don't even tell you the inventors of many items that we use today were African American? How come they don't do that? That will instill a sense of self. That will instill a sense of identity. That will instill self-love. How can we love ourselves when our grandparents don't even love themselves, and they raise our mothers and our fathers not even to love themselves, and they in turn directly or indirectly have raised us not to love ourselves, perming our little girls' hairs, right? Right? Putting and perming our little boys' hair so they get all curly. Y'all remember the S-curl and stuff, right? Constant conditioning that we don't love ourselves. The people that promoted love, self-love, Marcus Garvey or Malcolm X, have been deemed as evil and a threat to the American society. Why? Why? See, everything reinforces that Black love is not beautiful. And when you have people like me and people like you that's toting around Black love is beautiful, we make so many people, including our own people, uncomfortable. Because they have been taught and conditioned to believe that Black is not beautiful. You know, I know it's true is when people tell me you're very pretty for a dark-skinned girl. That is very freaking insulting. And that right there lets me know that they believe that Black is not beautiful. If you got to look at me and tell me that I'm beautiful to be a dark girl, that lets me know you don't even love yourself. You don't love your mother. You don't love your father. You don't love your grandparents. This has nothing to do with me but your own self-hatred. So how can I expect Black men to love each other and not kill each other when they have been conditioned and programmed to hate themselves? When the slave has been separated, one is in the house because he's lighter and the other one's in the field, that's got to tell you that just some of us ain't beautiful to the American society. And it programs our psyche for us to look at our brothers and sisters as the enemy. And we wonder why Black men kill Black men. We have said that African American men kill themselves with their futures ahead of them, while white men kill themselves with their futures behind them. Many times the police assume that any brothers that are together must be a gang. Any act of violence has to be gang violence. Any crime has to be drug related. And their next incorrect assumption is that any death has to be a homicide. For African American males, you can't tell the difference between a homicide and a suicide. So you may say, Shonna, what are you talking about? What do you mean? But I'm going to tell you. See, first of all, our men are living in harsh conditions when the whole world is against them and don't even like them. And even the ones that pretend to like them, that means that they're only going to like you when you give up your identity of being Black. So you got to be as close to white as possible for you to be accepted. So when you have young men growing up and they're growing up in the worst type of conditions and they have no love and they have no men in their corners to mentor them, to tell them that they are strong, that they are smart, that they are successful, that they are handsome, and that they can do anything they absolutely want to do. When that man is absent from his life, that boy grows up to not love himself. He grows up believing that life is doomed for me. At 19 years old, I'm going to be dead. So they start getting reckless. They start engaging in activities that they know will get them killed. We all know that expression. If you live by the gun, you will die by the gun. We all know that expression. And many of them know that too. So you got to ask yourself, do they live this lifestyle because they want to live forever, or are they signing their own suicide letter? That's what I've been asking myself. Is it homicide or suicide? When you engage in reckless behaviors and reckless activities that will eventually end in death, is it homicide or suicide? Because this is the psyche of our black men, and this is what's happening in our communities. So we have to really ask ourselves, why? One of the most challenging questions I had to answer was, how do you convince a young person to value long-term gratification when he believes in short-term gratification? When he is aware that the life expectancy of a gang member or drug dealer is 19 years of age. One of the reasons why many middle-class adults have failed in counseling our youth is that they are using long-term gratification as an incentive. How can we do that? How can we go in and try to use long-term gratification for our young black men when they don't even see themselves living past the age of 19? It doesn't make sense. See, because there's something that's going on, that we are so disconnected from our own community that we don't understand, even through our own self-conscious. When we feel that we have made it, even if we're only $1 above the poverty line, we turn our nose down on our brothers and sisters and we don't come back. We don't come back to help. We don't come back to mentor. We don't come back to support. Now, let's be clear. I am not speaking about everybody, but if we look at the grand scheme of things, this is what majority of our community looks like. And then we turn around and we get in these positions because of our employment, and we really think that we're helping, and we want these young brothers and sisters to see life how we see it, and we try to help them set up their long-term goals, but they're not even sure if they're going to live past 19. We got to change our whole approach to how we work with the youth. Our black youth, the whole approach has to be changed. We need to learn to be okay treating them, to understand that we have to take this one day at a time, and we must have a continuous plan, because our children have experienced so many fractured relationships that they don't even know if they can even trust you and I. Because as they see it, it's me against the world. There's nobody else here for me. I got to do what I need to do before I die. And many of them know it's a blessing for them to even reach 30 years of age, let alone 25. So are you still wondering why black men are killing black men? Not me. I got a clear understanding. When you remove a people from their culture, from their values, their traditions, their language, their love, their unity, their community, when you remove them, you are bound to be put in a dangerous situation. And you see, America no longer needs us. They no longer need us because they have the new black people for labor, and that is the immigrants. They no longer need us. So we need to get ourselves together. We need to get it together now. We need to get it together yesterday. We need to stop looking at each other as an enemy. We need to be consistent in one another's lives. Our families need not to be separated. We need to keep that old Big Mama house thing going on, because once Big Mama dies, everything in a family breaks down. It seems like the further we move away from our past, the worse we get. When our great-grandparents have died, and our grandparents have died, and our parents have died, we are left with a generation of heathens. And nobody wants to take on the torch, because everybody's out for self. And we don't realize that we cannot function that way because we have not been designed that way by nature from day one. We have become our oppressors, and we don't even realize this. We have oppressive behaviors or oppressive mindset, oppressive actions, because we have become our own oppressors. That's all I have for you guys tonight. I hope nobody's feeling too bruised. But tomorrow is the last night on this book, and we will be talking about countering the conspiracy solutions. We are talking about solutions tomorrow night in this book written by Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu, that is countering the conspiracy to destroy black boys. On Monday, we start a new book for us to transform our minds and get rid of this whole Willie Lynch syndrome. I love you guys always, and I'll speak to you tomorrow night at 9 p.m. on the Virtual Book Club.